I've been running since I was like 10 or 11, and I was a very serious runner as a junior. I spent years and years not really running, on and off here and there, and then 2011 I went to Kenya for 6 months, ran with the great Kenyan runners. I wrote a book about it, and since then got the Kenyan mindset. I'm out there daily. What about you? You're a more recent convert to running.
Yeah, I started about a year ago, and actually when I was on maternity leave with my second daughter. I started doing the couch to 5k, you know, when you kind of literally cannot run more than a minute without dying. From there I just built up distance, and now I'm completely obsessed.
Barefoot running is a bit of a weird idea in that if you're barefoot you don't have shoes on, but these are all barefoot shoes, or what they call minimalist shoes, and they range from these, which I spent a good hour and a half making last night, to these, which I guess are kind of look fairly normal.
Isn't the idea that it's kind of getting back to how we would run for thousands of years of our evolution?
There's this idea that by putting our shoes on, it forces us to run in an unnatural way. It's interesting because a lot of the barefoot debate comes from the Kenyans. The guy who came up with the science behind it had studied the Kenyans, and I went there expecting to see everybody running barefoot, and nobody was. They were all running wearing big chunky trainers. But what's interesting is if you go to a schools race there, all the children run barefoot. But then when they become athletes, they put shoes on, and it doesn't seem to affect their style. They continue with this barefoot running style.
It's about the heel strike, isn't it?
That's a key element. When you're wearing minimalist shoes, it's very difficult to run heel first. Just because it doesn't have that protection, your body instinctively feels like it wants to land on the forefoot or the midfoot. There's more impact on the ground when you land with your heel first. So that's one aspect. Another aspect is just actually being able to feel the ground. Your foot will give sensors to your brain about how you're running and how lightly you should be landing through being able to feel the ground. If you're protected with lots of cushioning, then you can just land much harder. In fact, there's this idea that you will even try to land harder in order to feel the ground. So if you're wearing cushioning, you're actually hitting the ground harder intentionally. Your brain is trying to feel the ground. So all these shoes force you to land on the forefoot, which is supposedly the more efficient and the best way to run. So one school of thinking is to gradually reduce that. They call it the heel drop.
The difference between the drop here and the drop here.
Yeah. Another school of thinking is that really you should just go straight to the flat, but instead of running your normal runs, keep your runs very short and then build your runs up. So you start with just 1 mile. I did this with these shoes actually. My calves were absolutely killing me at the end of it, and it was only 1 mile, and I did that for a few weeks, then I speeded up. It can feel like a slow process, and if you're in the middle of training for a marathon,
you can't just stop.
You can't just stop,
yeah.
Exactly. So you've got to be at a point in your running where you can almost begin again, which not everybody wants to do. So.
Yeah.
Can't just put the shoes on. It was quite amazing when I first put these on. I'd been used to wearing big chunky trainers. I was a heel striker. I'd been to the shops, they told me you need lots of support. You can really feel the ground, all the little stones and everything through here.
Yeah.
But after a while, I mean, now I can do a 10k in those and it feels great.
They feel quite stiff in the soles.
Yeah. They give you the right form, but they definitely don't have the bounce. I mean, my favourite of the shoes I've tried are the Nike Free, because they, as well as having that barefoot feel and the lightness, they do seem to have a bit of bounce as well. Minimalist and barefoot purists would say that's what you're after, but I quite like the compromise of these. It's so light and comfortable.
My favourite ones are the on-running ones. It's somehow a barefoot takeoff, but when you land, you've got that bit of cushioning from the springs, I suppose. They're incredibly comfortable. I'm faster in them.
I've tried the racer.
Yeah, they're the slightly lighter, narrower.
I've enjoyed those as well. I may even run the marathon in them. I'm running the London Marathon. I'm trying to decide what shoes to run in, but it may well be these ones. And I guess we've got to talk about these. Right?
Yeah. My worry about these would be that would hurt.
Even walking, it does pull up through your toes. My only feeling is that maybe you get used to that. It's quite a soft string, but it doesn't feel like something to me that I would wear for a serious run. But
do the marathon in these.
There are people who run marathons completely barefoot, so you know, it all depends where you are on the whole spectrum of things. But I suspect people who wear these are not running particularly fast.
And these were one of the first ones as well, weren't they, along with the Vivo?
They're very popular. People say they're very popular. I've never actually seen anyone out running in them.
Oh, I have, along here.
You have, along here, okay. So I feel like if I start wearing them, everybody's going to start looking at me, but I shouldn't worry about that, of course.
They are so light and bendy, and they really are just a sole, aren't they?
All they're really there for is to stop you standing on a piece of glass or something, really.
You were talking about feeling the ground being really important. That presumably is part of the rationale for this. Give them a go then.
Okay. Let's see what they feel like. You can definitely feel the ground through them. Feels like you're going to land here on the foot. There's no way you can do anything else. So that really puts a lot of strain on your calves and on your ankles, but it's something you've got to build up over time. Otherwise, comfortable. I mean, feels like a second skin.
I don't know about you, but I find these New Balance ones really comfortable.
Yeah, I agree. I've been for a run in these. Feel light, proper, minimal shoes, but at the same time they feel like there's a bit of bounce there as well.
They feel really comfortable along the top as well.
Yeah, I like these. So after trying all these shoes out, Kate, are you a convert? Are you going to be a barefoot runner? We're going to see you in these anytime soon, or where do you stand in the whole debate?
My conclusion is that you just have to find the right pair of shoes for you. And that might be some really minimalist ones, but I think like you, I'm kind of on the compromise really.
Yeah. I have to say, shoes like this are great for learning how to run barefoot. Yeah, I'm the same as you. I do like a little bit more protection, a little bit more of a compromise, so I go for these. But generally, I'm definitely a convert. I've changed from being a heel striker to a forefoot striker through wearing minimalist shoes. And I feel that's made me a faster one, and I definitely haven't been injured since I did that. I'm definitely a convert of this minimalist running.